Good evening and welcome to this evening's edition of Globespan 24x7. My name is Tracey Can. I am your moderator for this evening's program, and the program is twofold. For the first half, I am joined by Mr. Nigel Hines, who is the co-founder of Change Guyana. Now, Mr. Hines dropped a bombshell on Guyanese recently when he announced that he will be stepping down as the prime ministerial candidate for Change Guyana. He is here himself to explain to us what happened and why he will no longer be the prime ministerial candidate. And of course, I have some questions for him. For our online viewers, you can send in your questions as well. And of course, we'll be happy to answer them. So Mr. Hines, welcome to the program. How are you today?
Tracy, it's a pleasure to be here. Fine. Obviously, it's not the best of times in terms of what was recently announced, but it's one of the realities of life that had to be released in terms of the political environment and in terms of my personal situation.
Of course. So for the people who may not know, as I said earlier, Mr. Hines announced that he will no longer be the prime ministerial candidate for Change Guyana. Could you walk us through and explain what happened?
Okay, we had the launch of Change Guyana in October, on October the 29th, 2019, just about 75 days ago. At that point, I was committed to giving up my US citizenship, being a dual citizen, and I had gone up to the States to do a medical some 2 weeks after, and then I got the results a bit later in November and discovered that I was diagnosed with diabetes, and also my kidney was in a poor state, to put it euphemistically. So further appointments were scheduled and took place, and now I have an appointment tomorrow, on a Wednesday, in Miami to see a nephrologist to get a reference to see if there is need for further intervention. Over the past 2.5 months, Change Guyana has made a case to the public why we are the right party to support the type of politics that we intend to bring to Guyana, which embraces multiracial, multicultural, and multi-ethnic politics that is very inclusive and embraces economic development in the private sector. The bombshell, as you have referred to it, was one that I was unaware at the time of the launch when I made my candidacy known to be the prime ministerial designate for Change Guyana Party. But with the unfolding medical situation and the fact that our healthcare system in Guyana, obviously leaves a lot to be desired. It's certainly not a place that you can get premium healthcare, especially for the kind of complications that they have. So a decision was made to hold back on the renouncement, and because of the requirements of the Guyana Constitution under Articles 53 and 155, I couldn't sign the declaration form to become a candidate, and that essentially made me unavailable to serve in the National Assembly or in any capacity within the government as in a ministerial post.
So you're saying that you gave up the opportunity to run as the prime ministerial candidate mainly because of your health issues and not because you did not want to renounce your US citizenship?
Correct. At the time of the launch, there was there were no medical concerns that I was aware of. 2 weeks after, I did a medical and I got results that were somewhat very disappointing, and that resulted in me having to have further tests. And this is what over the last 2 months I've been dealing with, the health issue and the severity of it, and my commitment to change Guyana. The fact that I'm not able to be a candidate on the Change Guyana list does not diminish my commitment to campaign, to support, to be involved at the leadership level of the Change Guyana campaign. We still have a fantastic presidential candidate in Robert Badal, and we feel also that our list have candidates who are quite competent and capable of filling several slots, including the prime ministerial slot.
And of course, you know, we wish you the very best with your health. It's very unfortunate that it has to happen at any point in your life. But I want to ask you this. You said that when the party was launched, of course, you weren't aware of your medical issues. But before nomination day, which was last week, you were aware that you had health concerns. And many are wondering, why then did you not step down at that time before nomination day? So there are a lot of people who feel deceived to an extent by the party. How do you respond to that?
I think it's unfortunate that the way it played out. And indeed, we had intended to make a release before nominations day. And there's really, you could make several excuses as to why this did not happen.
But give us the real story. Why didn't it happen?
Well, in terms of the timing and the momentum that we were building up, the work we were doing, and we always felt that the bigger picture was what was best for Change Guyana Party. And my involvement was consistent, was at the forefront along with Robert Badal, and that took precedence over the fact that the prime ministerial candidate, which is really a post-election position, is not a prerequisite within the Guyana Constitution to have a running mate. All of the material that we had prepared was done prior to the diagnosis, and so internally the decision was made that we'll make the announcement before nomination day. But the events overcame that decision in terms of, you know, getting ready for the process, and the pronouncement was never sent out until, I think, well, it would have been yesterday.
Yeah.
When a statement was sent out about my medical condition.
Is the party in limbo without a presidential candidate, prime ministerial candidate? Because there seems to be some confusion. So, of course, you're there. You're a part of this party. What is happening now?
Well, our team, we are working. We are focused on the economic agenda that we have. which is one of inclusivity, one that focuses on removing the heavy tax burden on the Guyanese people and the administrative bureaucracy. We have plans across several regions for accelerated economic development. In this phase, we are mobilizing, we are working across the different regions in Guyana. We have, we're on the ballot for 7 regions, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 10. But obviously, our program is to represent all of Guyana. We are very optimistic. The turnout we had on nomination day, aside from the PPP and PNC, was quadruple any of the new parties. So we're very happy with the progress we've made, the momentum we've built, and the persons that have come together to support us.
Can you give us any insight into who might be the prime ministerial candidate for Change Guyana?
Those matters are under consideration. I'd just like to make this point that up to 2011, the first time outside of the PPP that there was a prime ministerial candidate, it was in 2011 when Nagamutu was identified as the prime ministerial candidate to President Granger or David Granger at that time. Let me correct myself. David Granger didn't have a running mate in 2011. The first running mate that the PNC had was in the 2015 election with Nagamutu through the coalition. PPP has started that customer trend in 1992 with Nigel Hines under Chedi Jagan, President Chedi Jagan. But the point I'm making, it's not a prerequisite. Obviously, the party that wins the majority of the votes will have an opportunity to, the president will be able to pick his prime minister. But that doesn't take away from the reality that we had gone to the people with a message that this is our presidential candidate and this is our prime ministerial candidate. And all of this changed with the medical situation. I don't think I think it had to be done, but if it was done 10 days earlier, 1 month earlier, it would have still caused a lot of feedback, whether it was of sympathy, negative, or adverse commentary. But it's not a situation that, in my opinion, with the prognosis, that I could renounce my citizenship.
And so, were you really willing to give up your citizenship? Do you believe in the party that much that you were really willing to do that? Because that is what is being brought into question, that it doesn't seem as if you had any intention of doing so.
That's a fallacy. I was committed to the process. I made that point when Robert and I sat down and discussed this, the formation of the party, and I was 100% committed. I had my, I got advice from an attorney. I even filled out, I think it's the DS 2079 form, but the diagnosis and the severity of it, give me some pause, and I held it, and we were getting appointments. I was actually in Miami probably about 3 times in November and twice in December, getting follow-up tests, because it's 2 areas of concerns, diabetes, and the condition of my kidneys. So at least the diabetes are under control, but the kidneys is where I have to go and do see a specialist and get a recommendation for have a scan and whatever intervention is needed.
So going back to the question that I had asked before this, can you give us any insight into who might be the prime ministerial candidate for the party?
No, it would be premature to do so because the discussions are ongoing. Our candidate list has a number of persons with the gravitas and the competence and expertise to lead to be a prime ministerial candidate in the Change Guyana party. When you look at our economic agenda, starting with the taxes, where we'll be raising the threshold to $100,000. We will be doubling the old age pension within the first year.
And economically, these are realistic? This is something that your party's calculated that it's economically feasible?
It's economically necessary. We are one of the few parties, certainly none of the two large parties have committed to reviewing the oil contract, and we have done so. We believe that there are a lot of terms and conditions in there that were poorly negotiated and defy logic. Aside from the 2% royalty and the ever bloating pre-contract costs, you have a situation where we are only allowed to import gas or to share in the gas findings from the Starbuck block with the deal with Exxon, Hess, and Conoco to use for power generation. We cannot use it to add value in terms of making products or using it to make fertilizer for exports. And these are things that were agreed to. The signing bonus was a paltry amount that probably many Guyanese could have paid it themselves.
Yeah.
So we have over 7 billion barrels of oil already discovered. So outside of the oil, in the agricultural sector, we had obviously a great misfortune that fell on the sugar workers, and in the sugar industry where 7,000 workers were sent off the job without any alternative measures in place or even compensation being paid to them on a timely basis.
Yeah.
The plan is to, those sugar estates add up to around 100,000 acres of land. And our plan is to allocate to the sugar workers some portion of that land for them to get into more profitable businesses where they'll get the financial support through arrangements we'll have in place with the banks. We'll also open a number of special economic zones, one in Region 10, Region 6, and the other in Region 1, that we think will attract investors and create new jobs and high-paying jobs. One of the examples that we've used is the situation in Region 10, where most of the logging comes out of Region 10. Most of the bauxite, about 80%, comes out of Region 10, but yet the level of poverty, well, right across Guyana is extreme, but certainly it's Region 10 is one of the poorer regions in terms of what you would call the major regions in Guyana.
Yes. Well,
so
Mr. Hines, yes. Well, I'll let you wrap up now because we're going to have to go to a break. And of course, we're going to invite you back onto the program to continue discussions. We're going to be following up with you with your your health issues, and we wish you the absolute best as you go to do your checkups and follow-ups with your doctor. Thank you so much for coming on the program and for sharing your side of the story with us. We appreciate that, and we have a better understanding moving forward of your position. So I'd like to thank you so much for being on the program.
Okay, Tracy, thank you.
Thank you. You enjoy the rest of your evening. To our viewers, we're going to be right back. And when we come back, I'm joined by three very brilliant young minds. These are Guyanese youths, and they're going to be weighing in on the current political state, what's happening in politics in Guyana. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. Mr. Hines, all the best.
Okay, thank you. All the best to you also.
Thank you.
Looking for an embroidery service or advertising services? Look no further than Inspire Incorporated. Get your very own personalized items that include rubber stamps, ID cards, mouse pads, diaries, polos, office wear, and so much more. Create your own logo or messages on any substract. It's very quick and efficient. Call Inspire Incorporated today at 222-2042 or visit at 62 Area Q, Turkine, Guyana. Times are changing. There are more airlines operating to Guyana. TravelSpan GT offices in Guyana have very low fares. Fares have never been so low from Guyana to New York. Choose from Caribbean Airlines, American Airlines, and others. Call TravelSpan GT for low fares and your choice of airlines. From Guyana to New York, fares start from $307. From Guyana to Toronto, fares starts from $347. And from Guyana to Trinidad, fares start from $174. Call TravelSpan GT for any destinations. In addition to low fares, TravelSpan GT has cruises, hotels, and tour packages to Europe, Dubai, India, Dominican Republic, and many more. Call our Georgetown office at 227-1701 or Rose Hall at 337-4287 or New Amsterdam at 333-6230. TravelSpan also has offices in New York, Trinidad, and Guyana. Again, call 227-1701. Travel plans, call TravelSpan.
Welcome back to Globespan 24x7. I am Tracey Can, your moderator for this evening's program. And as I said to you, I am joined by three very brilliant minds. I believe that these are some talented leaders in Guyana. I'm joined here in studio in Queens, New York by Lawerence Edwards. He is a political student at a college in New York, and also joined in Guyana by two other young persons. I've got Rosey, Mohamed, and then we're going to be joined by Shazam Somwar in a few. So good evening, and thank you for coming on the program.
No problem. Anytime.
All right, so I first want to ask, I'll start with you, Lawerence.
Okay.
You're extremely vocal. You left Guyana a few years ago, and you've been living in the U.S. You're studying politics here. You're in the health sector as well. And I see that you're very vocal, you're very passionate about everything that's happening in Guyana. What are your overall thoughts on what's happening politically in Guyana? We recently had where the parties announced their prime ministerial candidates. We had nomination days where they presented their list. What are your thoughts overall on the political state?
Okay, first of all, formally, good night to all the viewers. Happy New Year. Hope you guys, the New Year is going good for everyone. So, based on the political state in Guyana at the moment, I think it's very toxic, to be honest. It's toxic in a sense where it should be a process where everyone, each party, should campaign. Campaign without no fear of being judged, being
discriminated,
everything. So it's a toxic situation currently with the battlefield in the Guyana's election. And this only happens, note, this only happens when it's election time. We're always unified. And then when it comes to election, it becomes very toxic. So I feel like the environment or the situation in Guyana at the moment is totally toxic.
We'll get into that. I'm joined, as I said, by Rosey Mohamed. She is in the Upper Quarantine area, and also Shazam Somwar. Rosey, you're on the ground. You've been campaigning actually for Change Guyana. You've been doing a lot of advocacy work as well for domestic violence abusers, against bullying, because that's something your daughter was bullied in school. What are your thoughts on the political situation in Guyana? And you've been a foot soldier.
Hi, good night, Tracy. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Um, well, I've been working in the field, let's say, for like about 6 weeks every single afternoon. And the situation that let's say, um, it's not really friendly. Like at this time, during election time, it's like even your neighbor is not your neighbor anymore. It's like you're total strangers because all of a sudden they're on a different party and you're on a different party. And after election, then you're going to become neighbors again, or you're going to become friends again. And everybody is like discussing political issues. But the bottom line is they forget that we're Guyanese and we should not be against one another. We should be working as one to solve the issues. Like, for example, there's so many people up here that lost their jobs and they're suffering, but what they care about is, oh, I am a PPP, I don't care, I'm going to hold on to that. I'm an APNU or AFC, I'm going to hold on to that. It's like they're back and forth fighting with one another. On social media, you would see the same thing going on. It's like, it's not good for our youths because we have our kids on social media. They would be seeing these things, and now we don't want them to grow up seeing these kind of things. And so the elders, the bigger people, and the ones in position and the ones with the power, they need to set the example, and that's not what they're doing. They're just out there fighting with one another, condemning one another. Instead of us working together as one, working together for Guyana, we're against one another. We're embarrassing ourselves out there. It's so embarrassing looking at some videos, like the things that these big women would do, and big men, and amongst it you have children looking on. You have children looking on social media. So we as elders, we need to set boundaries. We need to conduct ourselves properly so that we could be role models, proper role models in society. But during election times, people forget what they have to do.
That's true. We'll delve into it more, but Shazam, from your perspective, what have you been seeing?
Well, as usual, what you usually see during election time, racism. I mean, we see racism every day in Guyana, but during election time, you would see it comes out. Yeah, it's like a disease that just pops out of nowhere.
And it spreads
And
like wildfire.
it spreads even to the little ones. I mean, you know, if a family there, PPP supporters, and another family there, the APNU AFC supporters, then you'd be like, oh, there's one race for APNU AFC, there's one race for PPP. And that's something that a lot of older folks fail to realize that that's not going to help the country to build. That's going to just damage it more. And as a youth, as someone that's advocating for human rights, I do believe that trying to cope with this issue, trying to solve it, becoming one would take us very far away.
Yeah. Lawerence, you said something, you said the state of Ghana's politics, it's toxic, and that's so true. I'd like for you to elaborate, because I know, as I said, you're very vocal, you're so passionate about what's happening, because that's home for you,
Definitely.
even though you live here. Some of the things that you've seen happening recently that has shocked you.
So, I've seen some videos, whereas different parties are being stopped from entering different areas, which shouldn't be. You're allowed to traverse, you're allowed to go, you're allowed to do whatever you want, because as the last time I checked, Guyana was a free nation where you could go wherever you want to go and stuff like that. But then it happened with the PPPC, it happened with the APNU, but I'm pretty sure it's happening with the smaller parties as well. But the fact that those are the two major parties, it's going to be more publicized based on that. Everything is going to be restricted to them most of the case. But I'm pretty much sure that the other parties are experiencing a lot of difficulties campaigning because they are being chased, they're being yelled at, they're being, different slurs are being thrown. And these are videos. I'm even hearing this from my friends because I have friends that are APNU, I have friends that are PPP, I have friends that are with the same Change Guyana. I have different friends. And every day I make it my duty, I read the Chronicle, I read the Starbrook, I read the Kaichor, you name the news, you name the newspaper, I read it. Other than that, it's just, then you have, and to what you just said in regards to the younger kids, if you want a president, if you want to set a precedent in regards to not letting our younger generation grow up to do the same things that we're doing, these older folks, the elders, these major political figures in Guyana, they need to be the outspoken one in condemning these nonsensical behaviors from their competitors, competition, friends, whatever you want to name it. So they're the ones should be on the forefront of things and be like, listen, whatever you're doing, it's wrong. Because little do we know, the internet is a wide thing. These little kids, when you think they do not see, they do not observe, they are doing such. So and being kids, what you see is that you're going to replica because that's all you know at that age. So that's how the process continues and continues, and the toxicity is gonna remain the same if that doesn't change.
And you touched on that point about campaigning, and I'd like for both of you to weigh in on that. Guyana is a free state, and you can do anything that you like within the confines of the law, of course.
Correct.
You cannot operate out of the confines of the law. And so when persons are not being allowed to campaign in certain areas, and it's disheartening to see that some political figures, they are not condemning to come to the forefront right away and to say, listen, this is not what we stand for.
Right.
How are you going to chase people? And this is not, as you alluded to, it's not just a one-party thing. It's happening between the two major political parties where people are not allowed to go in certain areas, or even if they go, they're verbally abused, they're threatened. And I mean, it's disheartening.
Physically in cases too.
Some people are physically abused as well. And it's disheartening that some of our political heads, they're not coming to the forefront to say, listen, this is not what we stand for. And to an extent, this fuels things because Guyanese vote along the lines of race, regardless of how you're struggling. We're not sitting there and thinking about political, we're not thinking about development, we're thinking about race. I am black, you're Indian, and that's it. And we have some comments coming in. I have Randy Rajkumar. So true, guys. Hope all of the politicians are watching and learning. And if Devon could put some more of the comments that we have. We have Mohamed Miha. Agree with you guys all the way, hoping for better days. More comments have been coming in where persons are sharing their thoughts, and we do appreciate that. Keep sharing your thoughts on the issue. We have with Siva. Guyana needs some young, innovative minds to run. These older politicians, no good for Guyana. These are some of the comments that we have from some of our youths.
Youths are coming out now to join Change Guyana. A lot of youths is joining Change Guyana because they're fed up with the old politics. They want something new. I think people are fed up. A lot of people are fed up. They don't want the same old politicians, the same old politics, the same old fighting. They want something new.
And so you guys have been getting a lot of support from young people?
Yeah, we are getting a lot of support from the youths. Yes, a lot of youths, they're joining Change Guyana. Even to some of the elders, when I go and I talk to them and you listen to their problems, then when you realize that how many people are facing so many different problems in and only election time, you would find that these major political parties, they will go out there and they would campaign and they will try to reach out to people, but before and after they don't care. They don't care about
another point that
all they want is to vote now.
Well, that's
yes,
true.
Tracey.
And another point that I want to make, and I'd like for Shazam to touch on that, and then Lawerence could add. We have some people who are saying that I noticed there are a lot of like wounds and a lot of hurt. And so there are some people when the APNU supporters, they are discriminating against the PPP supporters. There are some old stalwarts who are saying, well, you know, when it was PPP time, they did this to us. So, you know, it's right that we do this to them. And so it's like two wrongs can't make a right. Where are we going to go? And are we going to be an eye for an eye? And is that what the philosophy that you're teaching your children, an eye for an eye? We're never going to get anyway. Shazam, your thoughts?
I mean, if we continue down that road, we're not going to get anywhere. And as you know, that goes in say with either of the two major political parties in Guyana. Something happens to a PPP supporter to say, back in PNC days, this used to happen. Something happens to PNC, APNU, AFC supporter, you would hear they would say, PPP used to do this. If this doesn't stop, then I don't see us going anywhere. And with the new parties coming up, like the Citizen Initiative, Change Guyana, all of these new parties that are here now, you see a lot of young people are coming out. A lot of young people are now taking that stand to get things right, to make, you know, their future better. And I salute all of those young people that are coming out, not merely joining the main political parties, but those smaller parties to just make a change somewhere that they know they can.
Lawerence, your thought, like who is going to be the bigger person to stand up and say, change really is going to start with us, and not just say it, but to actually implement it and to execute it and to fight for it through change?
Right. So there's a flip side. There's a flip side to that in regards to the new parties that are being that are coming out, because this is the same way the AFC came out. The AFC came out with a strategy, a plan, whatever, to not backtrack or be something different. And it turns out that they ended up in the same predicament, if I should say. So as much as youths, and a lot of youths are share this with me as well, as much as they want to trust the smaller parties, they have a fear that what if these parties end up to be the same, this goes down the same road with the AFC or the other small parties that they trusted, not straying away from the point. Yeah, not straying away from the point, but to be the bigger person in regards to change, the major politicians, the major one, I'm speaking AFC, APNU, I'm speaking PPPC, they're the ones that need to step forward and say this is it. It's going to take a lot for them to do. Why? Because as Tracey mentioned earlier, Guyana needs to move away from the race voting. So
exactly,
it's so much flip sides to it, but we definitely need to move away from the race voting, because we look at she's Indian, as you mentioned earlier, just reiterate, she's Indian, he's black, he's this, he's that, I'm not going to vote this, I'm not going to vote that. So that's why it's going to take a huge, I personally would salute any politician from any major politician that's in the major arena that controls at least even 30% of the population, that ensures 30% of the vote. Any major politician that comes forward and say, listen, the change stops now. Let's do this. Let's not go down this road, and let's make a change from today onward. I would personally salute that politician, and we're not getting that. So I'm still waiting.
And here's where we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Looking for an embroidery service or advertising services? Look no further than Inspire Incorporated. Get your very own personalized items that include rubber stamps, ID cards, mouse pads, diaries, polos, office wear, and so much more. Create your own logo or messages on any substract. It's very quick and efficient. Call Inspire Incorporated today at 222-2042 or visit at 62 Area Q, Turkine, Guyana. Ever wanted to see Europe? How about London, Belgium, Amsterdam, Germany, Austria, Italy, Switzerland, and France? This limited time 15-day tour is now available. With hotel accommodations and daily breakfast, this offer is not one to miss. Call TravelSpan today at 212-243-0865. With offices in Queens, Brooklyn, Trinidad, and Guyana, TravelSpan provides a finer quality in travel.
Welcome back. You're tuned in to Globespan 24x7, and we are talking youths and politics. I'm joined by three very brilliant, talented young people in our studio. We are here in the studio in Queens, New York, and my other two friends, they're in Guyana, one in Berbice. Shazam, are you in Berbice or Georgetown?
I'm in Georgetown currently.
Yes, and Shazam is in Georgetown. He's a medical student. Rosey is a teacher. She's in Berbice, and I'm joined here by Lawerence Edwards. He is a political student here in Queens, New York. We're talking about different issues: discrimination, race, voting. Let's weigh in. Let's talk about the prime ministerial candidates for the two major political parties. What are your thoughts on PPP's prime ministerial candidate and APNU AFC's prime ministerial candidate?
Okay, so the selection process of these candidates, I feel like it should be made more, in regards to the old parties issue. They would do whatever they want to do internally, and that's okay. But I feel like both parties, both major parties, knowing that they have this, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of, like, the APNU probably lost a lot of supporters because of their prime ministerial selection. I'm pretty sure that they lost, the PPPC lost a lot of supporters based on their prime ministerial candidate, even the presidential candidate, not being biased. Also the APNU, because a lot of people probably think that there should be a younger person that's running that. I'm just being open because a lot of people do think that a younger person should be running the country because they're going to be more innovative. They're going to look forward or look into more youth-related stuff, as in. But I feel like the selection process of the prime ministerial candidate should have been more open to the supporters themselves. I feel like the supporters should have given a fair chance to actually voice their opinion in who should be a prime ministerial candidate for both ends.
And do you think they have that power to bring about change, to actually make an impact? Because we've been known for having prime ministers that are sort of just ceremonial prime ministers.
And
they
that's
don't really
true.
have much of a say.
That's absolutely true. And I remember correctly, the former president Jagdo even mentioned that years before, that a prime minister really doesn't have no portfolio. The portfolio the prime minister has is basically to fill in the gap when the president is not around, which is not very often. My thing is, there needs to be a
shared power type of
situation. Yeah, I feel like it should be a situation where
I agree with you. That's so right.
Yes, I believe that it should be a situation or something that's drafted where the power, the responsibilities should be shared. Because let's fast forward to my politics, American politics. As much as Donald Trump is in control of a lot of things, Mike Pence is in control of a lot of things as well. Because the system is set up where everything is not on to the current president. The prime minister steps in. So yeah, that's pretty much my point and it's going to be hard in that case once the prime minister does not have a full say to actually initiate change or try to bring change. Because what he's doing, he's just filling in a spot, and it's hard to, like,
very ceremonial, cutting ribbons.
Yes, it's
kissing babies.
Yes, it's very hard for someone to just show up in your house and create change while you're absent, and when you're back, you're out again. So it's where I feel like with the prime ministers initiating change, or they could say as much as they want, once they do not have the right, if I could use that word, have the right to,
or the power,
the authority to make certain decisions or put forth certain initiatives. I think that is just a no portfolio job than running around cutting ribbons.
Shazam, your thoughts on the prime ministerial candidates for the major political parties?
For me, I don't really know much about the prime minister candidate for the PPP because, to be honest, I've never heard of him. So
Interesting.
for me, I would say knowing your prime ministerial candidates would be something really nice if the parties would have done that at least. Someone that you know, not just someone you hear about during elections time. All of a sudden, you're naming a prime minister candidate. As it goes for the current government, I would say a lot of persons are disappointed, yes, and I totally agree with Mr. Lawrence in his comments. So, um, I really
You
don't
made
have
an
much to
interesting
say
point,
about,
and I think it's like it's connected to what you said.
yeah,
Having younger people who are more vibrant, who have innovative ideas, innovative ways. They're not afraid of change.
right?
And so it connects with that. You're saying you've never heard of this man. Well, I've heard of Mr. Phillips being in the media, but that's an interesting point. There are a lot of young people who do not know. He just
yeah.
sort of came out of the bushes. And Rosie, your thoughts?
We need economic leaders because our youths need job, they need better education. So I think we need economic leaders. I need people who can lead Guyana in a better way.
All
We
right.
just don't need people there to cut ribbons, like my friend just said. We need people someone who could lead Guyana, in a further way, not just sit there like, I be there like a rubber stamp. You just stamp, stamp, stamp. We need people who could do the work. We need people who could make Guyana better.
Indeed. And so we're going to wrap up now, guys. I must say a big thank you for coming on, for sharing your honest views. I know that's not always the easiest thing, and especially when you're living in Guyana, you can be discriminated against for sharing your views, as if you're not entitled to it and allowed to vote for whoever you want to vote for. But I'm not one, we're not here to tell you who to vote for, at least I am not. But it's important that we step away from race voting. Let's focus on the issue. If you feel whoever's doing a good job because of their policies, at the end of the day, there are so many young people who are unemployed. And this is not just because, oh, this government is in
That's
power. That was the situation when the PPP, they were in power as well. So let's focus and vote for people who are going to make change. And so I'll give you your final thoughts. Shazam, I'll go with you. Just your final thought. What do you want to see for Guyana? What's your desire for Guyana?
For me, I want to see improvements. I want to see young people being empowered. I want to see young people being given opportunities to do things they want to do to better Guyana. And for me, for a person from a personal experience, you know about this, Tracy. Uh, I was disappointed. A lot of persons were disappointed that were supporting me. And given that situation, that had led me to, try to push for young people. And the more the young people pushes, the more your opportunities will be there. And opportunities do come. We just have to know when is the right time to take them. As it pertains to elections, let's stop race voting and vote on policies, vote on who you deem fit to run this country and to get us where we want to be. And thank you for having me in the show as well, Tracy.
Of course. Rosie, your thoughts? What do you want for Guyana? For the people of
oh,
Guyana?
there are so many things that I want for Guyana. I'll start with the school. I want safer schools for children. So when my kids are in school, I don't have to be worried about them. Because having that issue with my daughter, sending her to school every single day, sometimes I still have fears. And with the situation, I am not even satisfied with the outcome. So to begin with, I want safer schools. I want more jobs for our young people. I want so many different things, but there's so much to touch on. Let's not vote race, like Shazam said. Let's put our X next to the person that we think can do a good job for Guyana. Let's vote for change. Let's not make our vote, let's make our vote count. We need to really, really think what we're doing. Let's really think what we want for ourselves, and let's vote for change. Let's vote not for race. Let's move away from the old policies and the old political leaders. We need new people, new faces, and we might have if we do that. So, thank you so much, Tracey, for having me on your show, and thank you for always supporting and encouraging me.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Tracey.
You're welcome. And Lawerence, your thoughts?
Okay, so first of all, I want to see free and fair elections in Guyana.
You don't think we have free and fair elections?
I just want us to have free and fair elections in Guyana. I want us to have elections
No violence.
where
Violence.
no discrimination, no
violence.
tugging, fighting. We all should live as one. And you mentioned about about schools, and you mentioned about jobs. We need to look at Guyana. We need to look at we move away from the race voting and look at the manifestos. Look at what was promised. Look at what was delivered. Look at where we going. Look at where we went. Because looking at this, I brought a lot of stuff to discuss, but unfortunately, time is not our hand. Our economy has been growing based on GDP, based on whatever you want to call it. It's been growing. There are certain areas where this present government has lacked tremendously. I'm not even going to hold you to it. But judging, because you were speaking about some personal issues as well, Shazam. I had personal issues before migrating to the US. Trust me, I had a few personal issues. So based on that, I've saw changes within this present government that are okay, could have done better. But Guyana needs a better system because now we're oil-rich nation. Let us be a Guyana. Let's be a Guyana with oil. Let's not be the countries like Nigeria or whatever. They have oil, but
Curse, the oil curse.
Yes, yet there's nothing to show. Let's be Guyana. Let's not be Trinidad. You know what I mean? Let's be Guyana. Let's manage our oil resource properly. I could go on for the entire night based on what I want for Guyana. But with that being said, I feel, and that's my personal opinion, and I'm just going to throw it out there, I personally feel you're entitled to your opinion, and you're entitled to your opinion. I feel like the coalition is the best way forward for Guyana.
Got it. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Lawerence.
That's what you feel.
Yes, everyone is entitled to their own opinion based on stats and based on clarifications and based on insights and based on everything. And that's my personal opinion. And
Which you're entitled to.
Yes, of course. Everyone is entitled to that.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm entitled to that,
I agree with you on that.
well, that's okay. We still family. We still one. We still Guyanese. I mean, I cannot vote, but we still Guyanese because I have a child there. I have my parents there. I have family members there. So I care a lot about Guyana. It's home. But that's my personal opinion. I just feel like the coalition is the best way forward. They could have done better. I think they will do better. But if I'm going to do comparison statistics, where we were, where we are, I'm going to just give it to the APNU. But then again, good luck to change and good luck to the initiative group and good luck to everyone. We're one, we're Guyanese, and thank you guys.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, we're Guyanese. I will never see you taking advantage of anywhere once you're Guyanese, just saying. But thank you guys. It's been so nice discussing, talking with you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you as well, Tracey, for having me. I would like to return anytime at your request. And I hope you guys have a wonderful night. And
are you closing this program for me?
not really.
Yes, of course, we must close on a light note. Thank you all so much. I really do appreciate all three of you for coming on the program and, for having this discussion. Thank you to our viewers. Major thanks to Globespan for providing this platform that we can have conversations like these. Continue to support Globespan and tune into the weekly programs. So you can be more informed. You can get different perspectives on what's happening in Guyana on politics, social issues, and all of these things. So again, thank you all so much, and have a great evening, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
You, Trace.